Thank you so much. Welcome back to the Touch MBA podcast. I'm your host, Darren, and this week I brought on Sofia and Kai from Mannheim Business School, which is a top-ranked business school and MBA program based in Mannheim, Germany. It's the first time we've had the business school on the show, and I learned a ton about the program, and you will too. So those of you who are considering an MBA in Germany and Europe, this is the first time I've had Mannheim on the podcast, and I learned a ton more about the program and what they're all about. And so I hope you guys find this podcast really helpful. And at Touch MBA, we're trying to make this whole MBA application process easier for you. You know, we want to pull the curtain back on how you can give yourself the best chance to get into your target schools. And of course, we want to help you shortlist the best fit schools for you. So if you need help with that, go head over to touchmba.com. We have a free service there where we give you pointers on how you can improve your profile, point you towards best fit business schools, and give you the opportunity to get pre-assessments from a number of top-ranked business schools around the world before you apply. So all that is available at touchmba.com, as well as the show notes to this episode. Every interview we do comes with kind of a crib notes or a summary of the conversation. So if you're researching these programs, you can find the accompanying write-up to each interview at touchmba.com/podcast and get a quick overall view of each program. So we'll see you over there, and I hope you enjoy my conversation with Sofia and Kai. I'm really excited to have this next business school on the show. It's the first time we've ever had them on Touch MBA, and it's a top program in Germany. And so on the call, we have Sofia Syed Nasir, who's the admissions manager for the Mannheim full-time MBA at Mannheim Business School, which is based in Mannheim, Germany. And we also have Kai Stenzel, who's the chief market officer for the university as well. So Sofia and Kai, welcome to the Touch MBA podcast. This is the first time I've had two guests on at the same time.
Thank you very much for having us. That's great to be part of the show and to talk to you today.
No, yes, hi. I was quite excited to take part in this podcast, actually.
Yes. So let's get straight to it, because I really want to use all the time we have to learn more about your program. The first question I ask every program is, what makes the Mannheim MBA unique from all the other top-ranked MBA programs in the world?
Yeah, Darren, thank you very much for that question. And I think that's a very important question everybody has to ask before entering a program. Why should I join that business school, and what makes it unique, and therefore, for me as a candidate, a good school, a good fit? So looking at Mannheim Business School is part of the University of Mannheim. Mannheim Business School itself is a quite young institution. So we were incepted in 2005. So our history is not like maybe any other business school. However, if you look at the University of Mannheim, we have a very rich and long history. So the university was founded in 1907. And from its inception onwards, it had a clear focus on management. And if you look at the track record of the University of Mannheim, you will see that a lot of CEOs, CFOs, and other very important and I would say successful people have done and have gone through the education there. So when we built at Mannheim Business School, we could use all the knowledge, all the infrastructure that was there. So Mannheim Business School could build on a very successful university in terms of management education. And when we built at Mannheim Business School, we had a clear strategy from the beginning onwards. We said, okay, we want to be the best by focusing on the candidate. So if you look at Mannheim Business School, for example, the full-time MBA, you will see that our class size from the beginning onwards was limited by 60 participants. We said our goal is not to grow in quantity. Our goal is really to grow in terms of quality. So our mission and strategy is really to have the best people in the classroom, as we believe that an MBA program, there's a lot of learning from the peers, and we want to make sure that this is happening. So I think one point make us unique besides the people who are teaching in the classroom is that we have a very high standards in terms of recruitment. And this, I would say, is a real benefit for the people. So if you're looking at Mannheim also in the future, we will see our goal is to grow in terms of quality, not in terms of quantity. The next point is that if you look at our researchers, at our teachers, at our lecturers in the classroom, you will see that these people are really experienced, not just, I would say, they're all having their chair at the University of Mannheim. At the same time, if you look at the CVs, you will see these people have an outreach. They have been to different business schools all around the globe. They are deeply, I would say, connected to the different industries. So they could bring not just the best in-class research and the current research to the class. They can also, I would say, they are able to deal with MBAs. They are able to understand what's going on in the industry. And so they can really be the bridge between what is going out there and research. And that at the same time, I would say, on a level that is really, I would say, on an that is really combining the best of two worlds. So having an MBA, having the best in research, having the best in terms of industries. And of course, one important point for us is, if you look, and we are doing, they're pretty good all over in the last years, is the ROI. So we have a clear pricing strategy. And if you look at rankings like Forbes, and Forbes is only measuring the ROI, we are really hitting top 10 positions worldwide. As we understand that people coming to our programs, they want to invest in themselves, they want to grow, but at the same time, of course, they also want to see a ROI. And so in terms of length of the program, in terms of price of the program, we are doing the best to deliver the best ROI possible. And so to really sum it up, why Mannheim is in a way unique, you can build on a very long and rich history. You have the best in class professors. We have a clear recruitment strategy. So you will find the best candidates in the class. The composition of a class is really where we look very much into it. So it's not just recruitment of candidates. We are looking for very specific profiles, making the class, I would say, very diverse and very rich, so that everybody can, I would say, benefit from that. And at the same time, as I said, it is also about the I would say, the growth where we want to bring it. And it is not, as I said, it's not about growing it's not about growing the class, it's growing the quality. And this have we done over the last years. Now we see every year more and more applications coming in. And now we're, I would say, in terms of the acceptance rate, below 20%. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell what makes, I would say, Mannheim unique.
Yeah, and I can't wait to dive further into, some of those words you used when it comes to admissions, like quality. But while we're still talking about the university, you mentioned the long history, Mannheim University having been founded in 1907. For someone who has never been to Germany, like myself, yeah, what is the reputation of the university within Germany, where I'm guessing most graduates will want to pursue their careers, as well as the business school? Like, what's the reputation of these programs and universities?
Thank you. That's I think that's also a very important point. So we know that a lot of candidates who apply for our full-time MBA, they want to work afterwards in Germany. So just to give you some numbers, normally we have like 80% coming outside of Germany. And after graduation, 75 to 80% then work in Germany. So we're, I would say, an important way to get into the German labor market. If you look at the reputation national-wise from the University of Mannheim, there is a very important ranking that is done every year. It's called by the Wirtschaftswoche. This is really a national paper. And for 14 times in a row, we are number one in terms of management and business administration. This ranking is done by calling HR professionals and asking for what kind of graduates do you hire, from what kind of school do you hire. So if you say that I'm from Mannheim, I have my business education, my management education from Mannheim, this is an absolute clear benefit because we are not just in terms of business school, but also on the university level, we are clear number one in Germany for last 14 to 15 years. So I would say national-wise, our reputation is really to be the management education provider.
Nice. And academically, where does the business school really stand out? Is it known for a certain subject or specialization?
Yeah, so this is also, I think, a very important point in terms of looking at the MBA. So we understand an MBA as a general management program. So we want not to be an expert on one field. We want to give a comprehensive overview and a comprehensive education of all business administration. The strategy of the university is really to have the best researchers and the best lecturers and the best, I would say, academics in a broad sense. So the idea is not to focus on innovation or leadership. The idea is really to go from financial accounting, taxation, marketing, and all these things you need to get a comprehensive business and management education. We are, I would say, the absolute best in Germany. So we don't have one field. We're really focusing on covering all fields of business administration. And this is not true just on a national level, but also on an international level. So the University of Mannheim is quite small. We have around about 11,000 students. This is not too big for a German university. And if you look at the faculty size itself compared to other universities, we are not, I would say, in terms of numbers, we are not a very big faculty. But if you look at Shanghai rankings or any other research rankings, you will find nevertheless Mannheim. And for example, I think it was 2 years ago, we had the marketing professor #1 in the world by looking at the A journal hits. So even if our faculty is not so big in terms of size, in all these fields, in all these, I would say, relevant management fields, you will find Mannheim is very good stuff in terms of reputation on a national level, but also on an international level.
And I also want to ask about your social sustainability project and business master projects, because I noticed those occupy a big part of your curriculum and over the course of the year. So could you talk a little bit about what those entail?
So I think that's corporate social responsibility. And we were talking about, we had that kind of sustainability project in our program since inception when we first started our first MBA. So we put it in the DNA of the program since 2005. And this is really before the financial crisis and the discussion about that took that kind of topic off. So our idea was from the beginning on that we want to educate people, we want to educate managers, not just to purely look at numbers, but also have an understanding about what does it mean to make sustainable decisions. So the corporate, our sustainability project is a project in which we don't give, I would say, too much boundaries. We want to make the class working and thinking about what kind of project they want to deliver. Then they get a certain time to work on the project and then deliver it. And then they have to present it to their classmates, to us. And what we want to, I would say, target with this is that on the one hand, the class is working together on a social project, and at the same time that people are diving into fields where they have never been before. And the results are just great. I mean, if you look at the last years, we had more than 100 different sustainability projects. The last one was actually very nice. It was a booklet. It's called Where's Amir? And it's a story about a kid who came to Mannheim and wanted to understand what's going on there. And as you see, that's a broad variety of projects that are delivered. Then we had some projects which are about connecting people. Some projects were about renovating things. Some projects were about helping social organizations in terms of IT. So that the scope is really wide. And as I said, our goal here is not to minimize that. Our goal is really to say, okay, you can do whatever way you think you can give other people a value at. And you should also be able to learn about different fields that are really out of the scope of business itself. So we're having this kind of projects are quite successful over the last years, and of course we will have them also in the future in our programs, and they are really belonging to the core DNA of our full-time MBA.
Yes, and the business master project that takes place in term 4.
Yes, the business master project is a replacement for the classical master thesis. So our idea, what we want to teach in a full-time MBA, if we put it in one sentence, we want to help people to say, I have a brilliant business idea, and I'm now able to translate this business idea into a business plan, or I understand a business problem from my company and I can give an exact answer. So this is what we want to teach people. We want to give them knowledge, but they should be able to apply it. And that is why also from the beginning on, we said just writing a master's thesis is something where you produce knowledge, but we want to go the next step. We want to go further. We want to see from our students that they are able to apply. And so we said, okay, we are going for this business master project where you really have to show I have as I said, my idea. I want to bring my business to life, or I have a real business problem from any company, and I'm able to answer this in a way that is in a way academic rigorous, but at the same time I'm answering not just with very nice tools and models and approaches, but I'm giving a company an answer how should they solve the problem. And normally these kind of projects are done in groups of 4 to 5 people. So again, this is, I would say, really looking that what we want to do is not just giving the people all the knowledge, but they should also be able to work in teams. And this kind of teamwork we have during the program in the so-called multi-competence teams, and we have them at the end of the program where people have to deliver their final project in a team in the so-called business master project.
Got it. No, that's very clear. And I also noticed that you give students 5 different options if they do want to extend past the initial 12 months. And I'm just wondering, what do most students in your program do? Do they exchange, or do they finish up in 12 months?
Yeah. So as I said, from the beginning on, we had this idea about the ROI. So we know that we could deliver a comprehensive management education within 12 months with different electives and so on during the program. But of course, there is no more room and time for getting abroad like for 3 months or whatever. There's no room to look into the analytics topic or to think about how to found a company. So we thought, okay, we make this with a clear view on the ROI and say, okay, we're going to deliver it in 12 months. If you want to prolong it, we give you different options. And then you can choose if you want to go abroad, if you want to do an internship, if you want to focus on learning the German language, if you want to work on your startup idea and, really, I would say, opening up your own company, or if you want to learn more in the terms of fields of analytics. So I would say a lot of our students are now doing the analytics certificate. So I guess that half of the students will now start their analytics certificate, and the other half are starting their business or their jobs. Sorry, their business, but their jobs with their companies. So for us, this kind of structure makes sure that people really have the opportunity to say, okay, now I've done my MBA, I can move directly to a job, or I want to deep dive into a topic which I'm interested in, or I want to improve, I want to learn the company in an internship. So that's really a lot of options we want to give.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear. So that certificate is called the Management Analytics Certificate.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And that's looking at big data, digital innovation, business analytics, and management analytics. Wow. And so roughly half of your cohort is choosing to go on to do that as well. Interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. As we've seen, and maybe one more sentence regarding this, we have seen that a lot of companies in Germany, in Europe, and all over the world, they are now looking for people who understand business, but on the other side are also able to understand numbers. and I would say not just numbers, but also to work with data science. And what we have created with that kind of certificate is really, we give people who have a deep understanding, who are MBAs, the opportunity also to understand and work with data science within companies. And I think that kind of interface is really now very much in demand by companies who are going for the next steps in terms of digital transformation.
And why should candidates get their MBA in Mannheim, Germany, of all places?
I think that's something bringing all these things we discussed together. So first of all, you get access to world-class faculty. You get access to a very good class. You get access with Mannheim. Mannheim itself, I mean, Mannheim is not a very big city, so we have like 300,000 inhabitants. However, if you look at Mannheim in itself, not just the university, you will find out the car was invented here in Mannheim. So Mannheim has also a very rich history in terms of industry and innovation. And if we would take a circle around about 500 kilometers about Mannheim, you will find like 60 to 70% of the German economy is really within that kind of circle. So Mannheim is, I would say, really in the epicenter of the German economy, which means for our students, and this is not just for, I would say, one sector of the economy, you will find a lot of different economies around Mannheim. So studying in Mannheim means you get the best in terms of education, but at the same time, you're really on the doorstep to a lot of different industries and companies. And at the same time, we are working together with, it's now called Next Mannheim. This is the startup community here in Mannheim, and this is also a very huge community. So it means if you are not interested in going into, I would say, if you're not interested in an industry career, but you want to open up your own company, this is also a very good place to be. So I would sum it up. This is why I would say Mannheim is a very good place. It's a very good school to pursue your MBA journey.
I mean, could you help paint a picture for me in my mind of like what the campus is like? Is it suburban, or is it in the middle of the city? Just, yeah.
Yeah, that's also a very good question. Mannheim was built from the scratch. So if you look from above to the city, it looks like a chess field. And on top of the chess field, there is the castle. Mannheim University and the business school is located in the castle. We as Mannheim Business School have also, I would say, lecture rooms within the city itself. But everything is very close by. So from one lecture room or from one classroom to the other, it's maybe like 3 to 5 minutes of food. So it's very close. Everything is within walking distance. And so in a way, it's like studying and living in Mannheim, everything is very close by. But on the other hand, if you look at Mannheim is not just very nice to, I would say, to study and everything is very close by. It is also very nice in terms of the shopping area, very nice in terms of nightlife. For example, Heidelberg is very close by, or any other city. So if people want to get out, if people want to do sports or are interested in any other activities, I would say Mannheim has a very rich offering in all terms of spare time activities.
Yeah. I can't wait to visit Germany.
But, you have to come over. You have absolutely to come over. And it's so funny because we don't have, for example, in Mannheim, we don't have any street names. We have just A1, B2, or C3. So if people coming for the first time to Mannheim, they often get lost and say, hey, I have to go to D4 or F5. But once you have understood the system, how it works, because as I said, it was planned from the scratch, the city, then you will never get ever lost again in Mannheim, because it's very easy to know, okay, where do I have to go from this street to the next one?
Yeah, it sounds like the board game Battleship, like E5, B4. If we could talk about admissions now, I mean, you mentioned how much of an emphasis the business school places on the quality of the candidates coming into the program. And so I kind of wanted to unpack that word quality. Like, what exactly are you looking for there in terms of fit? Like, what does quality mean to you guys in admissions?
Yeah. So Actually, we look at more than 20 different criteria. So we don't have that kind of threshold value where we say people just need that kind of number and then they're in. So we are looking, I would say, on a very comprehensive profile. So we want to see people, and just to give you some insights here, we are looking for people who are collaborative, as we want to have, I would say, an in-depth learning in the classroom. We are looking for people who are great in teamwork, who can I would say, teach other people, but at the same time who are also able to listen. And this is also something we are, of course, looking for, because this, as I said, we want to have every one of our candidates should bring, in a way, a value to the rest of the classmates. And we want to make sure by having, I would say, as I said, teamwork abilities, a collaborative mindset, by bringing a different story, experience, or any other thing that might be interesting to the other candidates. So this is how we look at it. And of course, we're looking at GMATs, we're looking at TOEFLs. This is also some part of the package. But this, a high GMAT itself is not the guarantee to get into the program. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
what is your philosophy there with the GMAT? You know, how do you guys sort of view it? Do you have any minimums you're looking for? And what is your philosophy in using it as one of the many admissions criteria?
So we see a minimum of 600 in the GMAT. Of course, we have normally, I would say, a variation. So as I said, a GMAT itself is not the only criteria we are looking at. And I want to make it a little bit more feasible. So, for example, we have somebody who has like 7 to 8 years of experience, had made a very good industry career, could bring a lot of experience from a certain field, maybe also in leadership and budgeteering experience, but maybe the GMAT is just 600. Then this candidate is, I would say, of a high value to everybody in the classroom. On the other hand, if people are just, I would say, like 2 or 3 years, like 3 years of work experience, they have done the GMAT during bachelor times. Of course, we look what is the score there. So it is, I would say, GMAT itself is a good point to understand how much effort have been people invested in order to get that kind of score, because a GMAT is a test which you can improve with how much effort you have put in. And of course, we will see that and we value that. But at the same time, we put the GMAT always in relation to the things you have done before, and to understand then the complete picture.
Now, it's very clear. And then I also noticed that your program has a very unique take on the interview process, like that there's a web-based interview with the admissions manager. Then that's followed by a case study work at home, which please explain to me what that means, what that entails, and then another interview with program management. So could you kind of walk me through that process and what you're looking for there?
So as I said, there are criteria which we can read very easily from your application form, because we can look at your GPA, we can look at your TOEFL scores and so on. But in order to understand all these kind of, I would say, more softer criteria, your teamwork capabilities, your collaborative mindset, we want to learn and we want to really talk with you and understand these kind of criteria. And that is why we say, okay, there's a first interview with the admissions manager who really wants to understand different dimensions more than what we have seen through the documents itself. And the second interview, you have to prepare a case study and you have to talk to one of our career development managers. And there we want to find out how people can solve a case study. But we clearly understand that to make this right, that we want to be diverse. So it could be that people are dealing with case studies for the first time, and we understand that. So this is not that we need, I would say, a case study solution in a consultant way. For us, it is important to understand how you solve it. What is your approach to solve problems? How do you do that? And then at the same time, the career development manager is looking at what kind of, I would say, expectations do you have? What do you want to do with an MBA? And this comes back to the point, if we see people who are just saying, okay, the MBA itself for me is just is just to make a very fast career. We want to understand, okay, you have to work in the class. You have to learn and grow with the class. Where is the class coming in? So this is where we really want to understand in this kind of, what is your career expectation? But at the same time, what is your expectation about the program? And is this a fit to what we can offer? And this is at the end of this selection interview 2, we are going to the admissions committee meeting, and then we will discuss every single application and say, okay, this makes sense. This is a fit for our classroom or not. So as I said, through the selection interview process, we want to learn and understand the personality. We want to learn and understand the motivation. We want to ask questions regarding that, so that at the end we are able to discuss your application in the admissions committee meeting and say, yes, it makes sense. This is a good fit for us, for the participant itself, and for the class.
So the case study that the applicants do, it's basically like a written case study. They don't have to explain it or walk it through in that second interview with the career management team, or
they get the case study in advance of the interview. Then they have time to prepare, and then they have to really walk us through. So they don't hand in a written
got it.
A written, I would say, solution or a written paper. It is really about, they have to prepare, and then during the interview, we will walk with the candidate through the interview, and then we can understand what is the approach. As I said, this is really about how do you tackle these kind of questions. And of course, if somebody comes from different, or with people coming from different backgrounds, everybody has in a way a different approach, and we want to learn about that approach and how do you go through it.
Yeah. And what makes an applicant really jump off the page for you, like make you pump your fist, like, yes, this person is applying? Like, what, can you point to any qualities that those applicants have?
I would say if people can show us what is the motivation to do an MBA, why people think that we are a good fit, and what is their value add to their classmates. People can really, I would say, give us an idea about that they understood about our concept, and at the same time how they fit into the concept and how can they enrich the concept. This is something where we say, yes, this is a good candidate. And of course, people need to point out an area in their life where they could show, hey, this is something which makes me in a way unique. And as I said, this could be coming from from a professional, from your private life. This is something where we are looking at it and say, hey, wow, look, this guy has done something great, and we see this is of value for the other candidates.
Yes, like a unique point of view to bring.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess this is a related question. Given your location and your placements that we talked about, how important is the German language or some sort of German background for the candidates to be able to contribute?
So we don't require the German language skills. We require the English language skills. However, we clearly say in all steps, from information sessions to selection interview 2, if you want to enter the German labor market, you need good German language skills. And this is, there are some companies in Germany, but I think that's not the majority. That's the minority who say, okay, we are just taking people in who speak English. But if you want to work into the German labor market, then you need a good command of the German language. I think this is possible if you, when you think about your MBA and if you think about changing the labor market from whatever to Germany, to start really from that point on to work on the language, and to come with a certain level when the program starts to Germany. Because of course we support people during the program, but this program is pretty packed with a lot of, I call it, hard skill courses. So of course people could learn German, but I would really recommend to start learning the German language before, and then working on your language skills while you are in Germany, and also with the classes we provide to our students.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask this question in the career part of the talk, but I'll just ask it now. Something I read that I found really interesting on your site was that you mentioned our career development team will guide you in your quest for a job in Germany and, in air quotes, groom you for the German market. And I wanted to ask you, what does that mean? If someone is groomed for the German job market, what is unique about it that applicants should know?
Yeah, that's also a very good question, because we are looking for diversity, and we have normally in a class of 55 to 60 people, we have like 25 to 26 different nationalities. So people coming from all over the world, and you could see that the DNA of labor markets is different. So every labor market is different. If you want to work in Asia or in Europe or in Germany and France, so every labor market has a specific. We want to, as we know that a lot of people want to enter the German labor market, we want to work with people to show, for example, on their documents what they can bring to what is their value to the company, but at the same time help them in adapting these kind of papers and documents to the, I would say, German style to apply for a job. And this is what we mean with groom. So we have that kind of beautiful face. If we would stay in that kind of picture, we really want to help out to make it as shiny as possible by working with you on the documents, by working with you on how to get into the market, but at the same time to show what you really can bring to the table. And this is very individualistic, as we have a lot of different profiles with very different, I would say, strengths. We help people to show these kind of strengths and in a way that you need to apply for a German company.
I mean, do you mind if so what are those German characteristics? For example, is it that, I'm just curious personally, like is it you have to be super buttoned up with your resume, or that, all your documents are lined up? That seems to be important. Like what is it? Is it For example, there are some countries in the world where you don't require, where you just hand in your CV, but you don't have a cover letter. For example, if you want to apply for a job in Germany, you need a cover letter, and this cover letter is important because people look at what is written in the cover letter and how does it fit into the story and how does it fit to the job ad. And at the same time, for example, for the CV, there are some countries in the world where you have to put a lot of information into the CV, and the CV could be like 6 or 7 pages. Good grief.
If you would have that in Germany, I would say you have to put it down to like 2 or maybe 3 pages. But this is a lot. So normally you have to really 1 or 2 pages. You have to show what you have done. And so every of these documents is a little bit different. And we help you to manage that kind of transition, to put all the things in that are necessary, but at the same time to fit to what recruiters in Germany look at.
Right. And I mean, the MBA is a pretty young degree in Germany as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unlike in the US, where it has this really long history, like how is the MBA viewed in the German labor market?
Before 2000, Germany had its own education system. So there was no bachelor, no master, no MBA, no PhD. So it needed a long time for all degrees, not just the MBA, to make its way through the DNA of the corporate. So the corporates had to understood, okay, this is a bachelor, this is a master, and this is why I need an MBA. And since 2005, 2006, when we started the MBA, to the point where are we now, we see, I would say, a really tremendous differentiation to what have been in place and to the demand in 2005. So a lot of companies right now say, yes, I'm looking for an MBA, I'm looking for a generalist. And this has, in a way, just not changing the landscape itself, but if you're also looking at what's going on in the industry, so business transformation and digital transformation, this also means for company, they have to look for different profiles. And what we see often is that companies who are on their way to change their business, they are looking for MBAs. So it's not just the educational system that has changed over the last 20 years. It is also the industry environment in terms of digital transformation that has changed the profiles companies are looking for. And so we are happy to have that kind of, I would say, very good MBA students and graduates that can get into the market. So yeah, it has changed, and I think it will, with the digital transformation, it will also be changing in the future.
Yes, and just one last question with admissions. Do you have any last tips for applicants on how they can improve their chances of admissions?
I would say try to draw a picture of yourself in which you clearly show us what is your motivation, so that we understand it from the first moment on. Be honest, show us what you can bring to the table, always with the idea in your mind, what is value to your classmates. So what could be your point in the class where everybody says, okay, this is something which makes us, which brings us forward. It is really, we are looking for diverse backgrounds. We are looking for all kinds of experiences, but you should always have that point in mind. Okay, what is my motivation and what can I bring to the class? And of course, it is always nice also to hear about what can I bring to the table in terms of the alumni network. So what is my value add?
That's crystal clear. Great advice. Well, since you mentioned it, what is the connection like with your alumni network, being such a young business school? I imagine now you have, a couple hundred, 700, 500, 700 alumni. At least full-time MBA alumni. And, how do current students connect with them, and what is that whole process like?
Yeah. So in total, we have more than 3,500 alumni. As an alumni, we only count people who have a degree from Mannheim Business School, from our various programs. The idea of our network is that we say, okay, we have offerings for all kinds of classes, for the full-time MBA, for the executive MBA. But most of our activities go in the field that we try to mix it kind of group, so that full-time MBAs can get in contact with the EMBAs can get in contact with full-time MBAs. So the idea of our network is really to bring all kind of degree holders together. As we see, this network is not just, I would say, for 2 or 3 years after graduation. We really want to, and this is why we call it Mannheimer for life. We really want to have people in our network for the rest of their lives. So what we have done is we build different layers in our alumni network. So one is we have regional chapters where people can say, yes, I'm in New York, I want to meet with other Mannheimers, so they can then go to the regional chapter, for example, in New York or to any other place in the world where we have regional chapters. Then we have a club structure. So with different clubs, the diversity clubs, with a Pride community and a Women in Business community. We have a consulting club. We have a tech and IT club where people just can register for free and say, yes, I'm interested in that kind of topic, or I'm working on that topic and I want to connect with other people. So it's pretty easy to say, for example, I have worked in consulting, or I want to connect with other consultants. So I'm going to the consulting clubs. There we have different sessions. And just to give you some numbers, over the last 10 weeks, we had in this kind of different club sessions more than 1,500 students and alumni, because students are also allowed to enter these sessions to talk about different topics. And this is our strategy. So from the first moment on, you will become, you get the access, or when you start your program, you get access to the alumni network. So you can choose on your own, do you want to connect from the first moment on a certain club, on a certain regional chapter with people. Then you have to really, I would say, our idea is to provide the platform, and we want to give the people all the opportunities to meet and exchange and to network. But of course, nobody is urged to do it, so everybody can decide whatever he wants to do. But we want to provide the platform. And our strategy here is to have a vibrant community. And that is why coming back to the admissions part, we want to have people who like to network, who like to change and to exchange and share. And for example, our alumni relations team is in one team with the career development team. That's called the ACO. That's the Alumni and Career Development Office. So from the first moment on, we think that career and networking and alumni relations is a connected thing. So that is why this is one department in our school.
It's great. Great. And what is your, admissions view towards scholarships? And, what do applicants need to know here about how they can improve their chances of winning some funding there?
Yeah. So our idea about scholarships is we are offering scholarships on a merit based. So we are not offering scholarships on a need based. We want to give outstanding profiles, I would say, with our scholarships, some sort of recognition that this is some sort of acknowledgement that this is really outstanding. So our scholarship strategy is not a sales strategy. So we don't want to, I would say, as I said, coming back to the point, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. So it's not growing the numbers of people in the classroom by giving out tremendous scholarships. Our idea is really looking for the right candidates and then saying, okay, this is really standing out, and here we give some sort of scholarships. Our scholarships are really not big scholarships; they are tiny amounts. Coming back to the point that our strategy here is not to give and to grow just numbers. And my personal view on that is that normally, if you get too much scholarships, it is always questionable what is then the what's going on there in the classroom. So how people at the end, I mean, as I said, having a good class is a benefit to all. And the question is, if you want just growing the numbers by giving out sales scholarships or scholarships that are just focusing on growing the class, question is, what is the quality behind that? So I personally doubt that if you're giving out too much scholarships, sometimes the ROI you get is not better than without scholarships.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, this is a whole another discussion, but I think it's interesting because obviously different business schools have varying tuitions as well, right? And how they factor scholarships into that. If we could talk about careers at Mannheim, I'm wondering whether, for example, in your last placement report, I saw your top 3 industries were technology and IT, consulting, and financial services. And obviously, most of your graduates are staying in Germany. That's the number 1 location. Is this pretty consistent year after year, or what are the trends that you're seeing here in student placements?
So over the last years, there's always, I would say, the picture is not the same every year. And this comes back as our strategy is not to focus on one industry. So sometimes out of these 55 or 60 people we have in the classroom, we have like 55 to 60 different backgrounds and goals. So it could be that a class is not just going into tech and IT or consulting. It could be that we see them in SME companies, in production or whatever. So our goal is really to have a diverse class and work with the student on what's their goal, where they want to go. This is our I would say career service throughout the year, that we really are the wingmen, the running mates of our students and help them to find where they want to go. And then we see how people can get into that kind of positions. And so coming from, I would say, that kind of approach, it could be that in the next year, we see more people in tech, or we see more people in consulting, or more in production or any other industry. So our goal is really not to canalize people into certain areas. Our goal is really to work with the students on understanding where they really want to go. And we clearly see from the statistics, if we, of course, ask people in the selection interview process where they want to go. And then I would say like 50 to 60%, when they have done 50 to 60% of the program, things are changing. people are saying, okay, now I have heard that kind of speaker. I was motivated by that kind of presentation. And now before that, I wanted to work in the field of consulting. Now I want to work on supply chain. And I think that is absolutely fine, because what we want to give with the program are insights from a lot of different fields. And we want to get people to think about what is out there. And so I would say I couldn't really predict what the next career report looks like. But as I said, our strategy is not to just focusing on an industry. Our strategy is really to focus on the work with the student.
And you have a dedicated career services team for the MBAs?
Yes. And as I said, that is combined with the Alumni Relations in the Alumni Relations and Career Development Office, as we believe from the first moment on, we want to give our students the possibility to use our network, to network, also for career reasons. Huh?
Absolutely. And what about the visa process? Like, how long can graduates of your program stay in the country to look for jobs? How does that work?
On the visa process itself, I think that the best way would be to talk with Sofia, actually.
Okay. Sofia?
To be honest, so I'm...
So for the visa process, after graduating, you have a maximum of 18 months to stay in Germany with a job seeker's visa. This will give you some time to look for a job. And you also, of course, that is in condition to whether you can show that you can support yourself in the country after your studies. But hopefully, you don't need 18 months to look for a job after the MBA program in Mannheim.
Right. So then during that time, you're trying to get basically sponsored by a company, right? Which will provide you some sort of work visa? Okay.
Yes.
Got it. That's crystal clear. Yeah. I mean, is there anything else that I missed with the careers, part of the program that more applicants should know about?
I would really say that an advantage of Mannheim Business School is that we take career services, working with the people. We have a dedicated team who is very close to our candidates. So we take it really very serious to work with you on what is your goal. And I think that is sometimes the hardest part in the process, to work with somebody on where do you really want to go after the MBA? What is your dream? Where you want to, what kind of job, what kind of industry, what kind of, I would say, thing you really want to do. And we take this really serious. And I think we can really help people to do an MBA, and at the same time also to look for the next dream job, so to say. And the dream job itself, sometimes it's we see from when we do the first selection interviews, of course, sometimes people connect dream jobs just to big brands. In Germany, it's called the hidden champions. So SME companies that are not maybe have such big brands, but very interesting jobs and very interesting fields where you can work as an MBA. And so I think in this kind of process, really to understand the motivation, the goal, and the ambition, and mixing it with the German industry, that's something we take very serious.
And Sofia, I want to give you the stage for the last question. What do you just wish more applicants knew about the program? As you contact so many applicants every year.
Well, I always tell them, you have to know this is what you really want, because you have to be really sure. For our international students, it is a very big investment for them to come to Germany and take a year off work also. And the class size is small. You are around in a very motivated group of people. So you just need to be focused on your goal as well. And really understand that if Mannheim and being in Germany is the best MBA program for you. And of course, the location itself and the class itself is very diverse. You are definitely in a place where you will learn from people coming from different backgrounds.
Yes. And do you guys do sort of pre-assessments or consultations before applicants apply?
We We try to do that as much as possible, like time-wise. Sometimes I cannot do that for everyone when it's the peak of application period. But as much as possible, we do give pre-assessments.
Absolutely. Well, Kai and Sofia, thank you so much for sharing your insights about the program, the history of the university and the program. I feel like I've learned a lot more. And I'll personally be able to better advise applicants as well. So thank you again for your time and insights. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Darren. It was great
Thank you
to
for
talk
your
to you
time.
today.
Thanks for listening to the Touch MBA podcast. Don't be shy. We have a mailing list. Go to touchmba.com and get yourself signed up. And we'll keep you posted with the best tips and insider interviews on how to get into your #1 school. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook at Touch MBA. See you soon.